Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Price Check Sports Podcast, brought to you by the In the Zone Network, where we go city to city, state to state, worldwide, and of course, gotta start in the city of New York right now. New York City is going crazy because the Knicks are in the NBA Finals for the first time since 1999. Now your Eastern Conference champions here in 2026. Waiting on the winner of the Oklahoma City-San Antonio series over in the Western Conference. So, Knicks have made the finals. We knew, ever since how they went out in the playoffs last year after firing Coach Tibbs and all of the things that came with that last offseason, all the questions, all of that. This year, we knew that they had no other excuse. They had the coach. They had finally gotten, a more well put together bench. Everything was in place. The rest of the conference was a little bit weaker. You had, guys injured in the Eastern Conference, teams that had kind of fallen off in the Eastern Conference. This had to be the year. Had to be. And the Knicks made it happen, man. So shout out to the New York Knicks, Eastern Conference champions. We kind of talked about the Knicks a lot throughout the season, just as about can they meet that expectation of being kind of a finals or bust team. Regular season, of course, came with some mixed results. Ultimately ended up with that third seed. But when they got into the playoffs, man, this Knicks team has been dominant, and I mean, just as dominant as any other, powerhouse NBA team has been in a playoff run. You start to kind of think about whether or not they're actually going to have a chance in the finals. I've seen a lot of people say, well, Oklahoma City and San Antonio is the real finals. That winner is going to go ahead and win the championship. And I gotta insert a little bit of Lee Corso here. Hold on, not so fast, my friend, not so fast. So the Knicks, to me, again, last 11 games, they've won 11 straight here in the playoffs. They've won 10 of those 11 games by double digits. That's not a fluke. That's not something that's just a product of who they played. That is the sign of a team that is not only well coached, well prepared, but executing at an extremely high level, especially when you think about sweeping multiple rounds and doing so in as dominant fashion as they have. I can't say that they don't have a chance against Oklahoma City and San Antonio, especially when we saw Indiana come out of the East last year and we thought that they didn't have a chance, and they were a Tyrese Halliburton blown Achilles away from possibly winning Game 7 against Oklahoma City. They had the lead at halftime with no Halliburton. I think the Knicks, if you can look at that Indiana team from last year and say that they can get Oklahoma City to 7 games, I think the Knicks absolutely have a chance to not only get that far, but to absolutely hold up the Larry O'Brien trophy when it's all said and done. Of course, going to take a lot to get there. You're going to need, your big boy pants on from Karl Anthony Towns. You're going to need, full strength OG Anunoby, Josh Hart, those guys. But I mean, as far as what they've put together and the guy that they've got at the head of the snake there in Jalen Brunson, man, I think they have just as good a chance as anybody else would going into the NBA Finals. So, once again, man, shout out to the Knicks for the win in the Eastern Conference Finals, sweeping the Cavs. And, of course, the Cavs, we know, you had James Harden. You wouldn't make the trade for James Harden, you would never win the championship. Sorry, hate to say it, them just the breaks. Until we see it happen, we are ruling out any team that James Harden is on the roster for being a championship contender. So, see you in Cancun, Cleveland. Now, Oklahoma City, San Antonio, Game 5 is tonight. Should be an epic one. We've seen a great series here through the first 4 games, some back and forth, of course, with these teams, each winning a game on the other team's home court. And now a very pivotal Game 5 here in the Western Conference Finals. Now, as history will continue to show us, teams in a 2-2 series that win Game 5 win the series 82% of the time. So, now, if you go on to win this game, 8 out of 10 times you're going to finish off the series, whether that's in Game 6 or Game 7. But tonight, a lot of people know I have a ticket on the San Antonio Spurs to win the Western Conference, so I'm not trying to wish cast anything here, but I do think San Antonio has all the makings to pull off what is going to technically be an upset here. But I think they can go win Game 5 in Oklahoma City and then ultimately finish off the series in San Antonio in Game 6. The reason why I believe this, I think if you're not going to have Jalen Williams or A.J. Mitchell for the Thunder, kind of struggling after that to find somebody whose hands you trust the ball to be in besides Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Chet don't have it for us this series, unfortunately. Wemby's shutting that shit down. He's shutting Chet's water off for the most part. When Chet doesn't have it, of course, Hartenstein's not going to be a ball handler. He can do a lot of the dribble handoff stuff with Shai, but again, how much you're going to have him and Holmgren on the court together. After that, man, you're talking about Caruso, Kaysen Wallace, Lou Dort. If I'm the Spurs, man, have at it. Y'all can have it. We got answers for all of those. Shai, if you think you're going to go out here and go get 35 to 40, guess again, brother. Because we got the game plan set in stone, and we got an alien right here protecting the rim. And I think if San Antonio can continue to cut down the turnovers on offense, because that was also a key from Game 4. Only 12 turnovers when they had 19 and 20, in games before that. Keep the turnovers down, and you can continue to get out and run in transition. San Antonio can definitely get real spooky here in Oklahoma City in Game 5. So I'm taking the Spurs in a close one. Again, we also letting history kind of educate us a little bit. We're now like year 7 or 8 here in the NBA where we have not had a repeat champion, and I don't think that is necessarily a fluky thing either. I think it is really hard to go from being a team that just has championship aspirations to now having defending championship expectations. Totally different ball game. And when you have a team like San Antonio, not only are you playing with house money, you doing it with, in what has been in most cases, the best player on the court. It get real spooky. Gets real spooky real fast. And so I'm taking San Antonio, again, close win here in Game 5 tonight, and ultimately going and closing down Game 6. And then look at it, man. You might get you a rematch of the 1999 NBA Finals here all the way around with the Knicks and Spurs. But I think that's what we're going with here on the prediction side of things. From a betting standpoint, I know I try to give out some like parlay options, bet picks, things like that. If you're putting your parlays together tonight, 3 legs that I want you to consider. I'm not saying that they are a must-have, must-hit, but 3 legs that I would just say consider them if you're putting them down. Stephon Castle to get 15 points. I know only got to 13 last game, but also blowout situation, not quite as ideal for the points metric. You go him 15 points or 20 points plus assists on FanDuel. You've got the option to play with those combos a little bit. I would lean a little bit to the points plus assists just because there's going to be nights where he might end up with 7 to 8 assists, but only with the 12 or 13 points, you can still crush the combo. Next on that, I'm going 10 rebounds and assists with Isaiah Hartenstein. He did not play a whole lot in Game 1 in the game since, though. Not only has he rebounded the ball well, again, we mentioned those dribble handoffs and things like that he's going to run with Shai. Shai's not getting held scoreless, but of course, even if you think he's going to have a limited game, the assist that Hartenstein gets typically is going to be to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And then you just take whatever Wemby rebound prop you want, especially on a game like tonight. 10, 12 rebounds is anywhere in play because I think he's going to have a big game if they want to win. So, you can't get a Spurs win without a huge Wemby game in some way, whether it's on the boards, blocks, or even the points. Take your pick at it. But I think those 3 props, specifically tonight, are going to be ones that you can have in a winning parlay. So, 20-plus points and assists with Stephon Castle, 10-plus rebounds and assists with Isaiah Hartenstein, and let's just call it 10 rebounds for Wemby. But those 3 props, definitely think you should be able to cash with some of those going into tonight's game. But that'll do it for us here on the Price Check. As y'all know, I'm here for a good time, not a long time. We'll be back, though, of course, as we wrap up the Western Conference Finals. Definitely want to get an NBA Finals preview here once we have the Knicks opponent set in stone. And then, of course, talk through some of these offseason storylines as they start to come about. We know people are already talking about what LeBron's going to do this offseason. Is Giannis going to get traded? What does the Cavs loss mean for all of that? We'll get into it all. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, I am your host, Josh Price. Price Check. Check it out.